In 2012, Kansas adopted the Learning Forward standards for professional learning. These standards emphasize 7 elements of professional learning. First, learning communities, which are essentially what you would think of when you think of learning communities, teachers learning together in groups and holding each other accountable for goals. The leadership element is a little bit harder to define and was actually kind of difficult to understand from the website. It defines what a leader is, but it doesn't really say that it's trying to make teachers into leaders. It also just essentially says that professional learning increases educator effectiveness and results in students developing a capacity to advocate and create support systems. So I'm not really sure what the leadership element actually means. Data is the next element, which, it's data driven essentially. Learning designs, so looking at different ways of teaching in classrooms. It's also looking at outcomes, resources, and then the implementation of new programs. This quote from the Learning Forward site. Standards for professional learning outline the characteristics of professional learning that leads to effective teaching practices, supportive leadership, and improved student results. Learning Forward is the only association focused solely on the most critical lever in improving schools, building the knowledge and skills of educators. So that quote was interesting, but then when I was comparing it with some of the California standards, it actually didn't talk about content at all and bettering teachers' content knowledge. There was also no focus on equity in the classroom. Alignment and coherence were not in the standards, even though outcomes were in there, making sure that things were aligned with outcomes or that they were coherent wasn't in there. Even though it had learning communities, shared accountability was also not a part of the Kansas standards. And I thought that was sort of problematic since it doesn't really bring administration in. Additionally, one thing that I found really troubling is when comparing it to the states from this week's reading, Ohio and New York, it's clear that professional learning is not really rewarded in any way. On the site, it does say that 1 hour of professional learning leads to an educator earning 1 professional development point, but the points do not accrue to help the educator progress in their career in any way. There's like a 50-page document that talks about professional development in our public schools and outlines it. And there's a page on professional development points, but then when I actually dug into it, the professional development points don't go anywhere. They are reviewed when a teacher applies for licensure. But other than that one element, it appears that those PD points don't actually benefit anyone in terms of career or education or like advancement pay or anything like that. So it seems that the reward structure is really lacking, even though they have this idea of PD points in the documents. So that is what I found in my research.